How would you describe farmers? Hardworking, dependable, traditional? No arguments there. But creative and marketing oriented? Probably not the first attributes that come to mind. But something's changed. New generation farmers are looking at their job a little differently. One example, most new farmers say it's important for them to communicate directly with their customers. They use social media and they know how to market. New tools and new opportunities make this an exciting time to be in agriculture. I'm Dave Russell, and today we're talking to some folks who are shaping the future of food production.
This program is made possible thanks to the generous support from the Ohio Farm Bureau members, producing our food, growing our economy, and making communities stronger. The Ohio Farm Bureau, forging a partnership between farmers and consumers. And by
Nationwide's family of companies has a variety of products to protect your family with our promise to be there when you need us, from city to farm. Nationwide is on your side.
Funding for Our Ohio is also made possible by the generous support from Turner Farm, a working organic farm and education center in Indian Hill, Ohio. And by your membership support to this public television station. Thank you.
Today we are talking about new generation farming. Our panel, Nathan and Jennifer Brown from Hillsboro, Ohio. They operate a 1,000-acre grain farm along with an additional 400 acres of custom grain crops and hay, and they also raise beef cattle. Jessica Lehman is the Associate Vice President of the Young and Beginning Producer segment at Farm Credit Mid-America. Joshua Jennings is the founding director of the Global Impact STEM Academy in Springfield, Ohio. I'm Dave Russell, director of the Ohio Brownfield Radio Network. We've got a great subject and a great group. So let's do this. Nathan, let's begin with you. You haven't been farming all that long.
No, Dave. Jennifer and myself began farming in about 2002. We were able to rent some cropland from a neighbor. We are first generation. We've had some opportunities that's come along that's allowed us to grow. And you know, from a very small child, the only thing I've ever wanted to do is farm. And you know, it's been my dream, and I've been blessed to be able to live my dream.
So Jennifer, what about you coming into a first generation farm?
Well, my grandpa's always farmed. He's 82 years old and still farms today. My parents did work off the farm, so you know, we kind of semi-lived the farm life. Did a lot of 4-H FFA, so I was wholeheartedly into it. You know, I was ready to take it on. It's been a big step and a lot of stressful nights and stuff, but well, definitely worth it. So.
Jessica, let me ask, you work with beginning farmers.
Right.
What are some of the questions that they have when they first come in to sit down with you at Farm Credit?
Oh, the first is how can I get financing? And in the past, Farm Credit had kind of struggled to be able to quantify how we lend to young and beginning farmers. And so we've started taking a new look at things, especially as people come out with college degrees and they've got additional debt that they may not have had 10, 15, or 20 years ago. We say, how can we figure out how we can work with them and meet their dreams and meet their goals? Because as you're hearing from them, it's a dream, it's a lifestyle that they want to be a part of. And so we work with those young producers and say, all right, what do you need from us? And how can we help you get there? How can we be a part of that partnership? And so those are the questions that we're asking them now that maybe we haven't asked in the past.
Josh, you bring a unique perspective to your role at the STEM Academy. You started out on the farm.
Right. So I started farming when I graduated from Ohio State in 2000, and worked for a producer in Clark County who was a mentor to me and helped me get started, as well as very close to, wasn't at the time, but now is my father-in-law. So I've had some people be able to guide me and lend me support in the right directions, as my father didn't farm directly. I skipped a generation much like you did, my grandfather, and I was really tied into him and wanted to emulate what he did as a producer. And so I think that's how a lot of us get started. We get excited because we somebody who we love and respect, and we want to be able to kind of live a similar lifestyle. So through the support of some people locally, they were able to kind of get me rolling. And at the time, Farm Service Agency had a lot of programs to where they were helping young producers and get them started, and we bought our first 100 acres that way. And so that's how we started to establish credit and started to grow. But then kind of waved off that as I started, my passions kind of evolved and started teaching ag to up-and-coming producers as well. And so getting them excited, getting them started even as a younger age.
So those younger folks, students, are they thinking they want to go back to the farm, or are they thinking about another aspect of agriculture that we know is necessary too?
Well, a little bit of both, depending on what environment in which you're teaching in or what you're involved in. I started teaching in a very rural school, and a lot of those students wanted to go back to the farm, or they weren't in a farming operation and parents worked off the farm and they wanted to be a first-generation farmer, much like these folks here. So, you know, we had actually, Farm Service Agency and Farm Credit, I think even at the time, had some programs to start established credit for young producers even while they were in high school to get them started and get them rolling. And we started an FFA with SAEs and those type of things. But what we're really focusing on now, I think, is there's a talent pool that hasn't typically been tapped into in production agriculture, and the real push for locally grown and niche markets. And so now there's and even a segment of the population who's really been underserved before in the past, and you know, urban sectors and minority populations that are getting excited about the opportunities that are in the field. And they're not necessarily all tied to production, but they're tied into the biosciences and food and fiber and energy and those type of things that support the production end.
Yeah. I was going to jump in. That's something we've seen really take off in Ohio from Farm Credit's perspective. We work with Green City Growers in Cleveland, and then we've got a cooperative that we work with here in Cincinnati as well. And they're looking for that way to bring that local produce to those urban areas and provide for the food deserts in that area, as well as use technology to grow in very small areas. So they're doing it on maybe 1 acre abandoned plots in downtown Cincinnati, and then stretching out even further. And it's been really interesting to see a different type of people come into agriculture with new ideas. So.
Nathan, you've seen that change just in the 12, 14 years that you've been farming. Yeah,
things have changed a lot. You know, we wanted to go the production route because that was what we knew or what we were comfortable with. And it's kind of her background and my background too. But a lot of our friends that are coming back to the farm saying, you know, how do I fit in here? How do I make this? Because this is what I want to do. So they are branching off and going those other directions to fill those food gaps. So, when you were talking with folks about wanting to start farming as a first-generation farmer, were you hearing more support or more of the why would you want to do that? A lot of people I hear encouragement from. I mean, everybody's, you know, if this is what you're passionate about, and that's everybody, I say, if that's what your passion is, go for it. I mean, you know, who else is better suited to do something that they're passionate about than that person? So,
wow. And we live in a great farming community, and a lot of close friends do farm, so it's a mutual support back and forth to one another.
And I think what you hear is depending on the era in which you are starting to come into ag. We've had some pretty good times, I think, lately, especially in the last decade in the field of agriculture. And if you would have came in maybe 25 years ago, you may have had a different story, and it may have been encouraged you down a different path. And so it just depends, you know, what the current feel is and I guess the economy of the ag economy in general too.
Yeah, I was going to say when I started farm broadcasting, things were going pretty well back in the early 70s. Yeah. Well, then we went through that 80 period where, you know, a lot of moms and dads were telling the kids, don't come back to the farm. Go get your education and move on. So how do we make sure that there are continued opportunities for young people, whether they're from the city or whether they're they're from the farm, that they have those?
I think it goes back to, we keep hearing both the networking, the mentorship, the being connected with those people that know about agriculture and have a passion for it. And how do you link them together? How do you bring together people that are young, that are all in it together, where they can share those stories? And then how do you bring together those experts that can also help partner with you? And those are some questions that we're asking ourselves, how can we help facilitate that within the ag industry? Because those partnerships that keep that encouragement keeps going. And we heard some wonderful stories from them earlier about that.
But also the niche markets, I think, that are so critical to the industry as well, and people really finding a focus and doing very well within those niche markets, and whether it's a locally grown aspect, whether it's organic in nature, or no matter what it is, there's a lot of different opportunities and exposure to those opportunities, but also a kind of awareness amongst people who have been in a traditional culture of this field, and being able and a willingness to pull other people in and for new ideas and innovative ideas to stay competitive in a global market.
Have those
Jennifer,
conversations.
you have a young family.
Yes, very young.
First generation farm. You work off the farm as well.
Yes.
How do you make that all work?
There's stressful days, a lot of stressful days, but you've got to prioritize not only your family life but your farm life, and this is our livelihood. This is why we're working to what we do. So I mean, there's a love there, not only that Nathan has, but I have, and you can already tell that our 3 kids have. So I mean, it's definitely worth it.
That's what I was going to ask, Nathan. When you walk out the back door in the morning to go out to do chores, and you see those twin boys maybe following you or running ahead of you, what goes through your mind? What are you thinking about as far as down the road?
Thinking of how do I instill the passion and the love, for not just farming, but for whatever they want to do in their life. If they want to come back and farm, I want to be able to have our operation in a position that we can grow and add them. But if they want to do something else, I want them to have the passion in them that I have in myself.
How is agriculture doing when it comes to communicating what you do on a day in and day out basis? Are we doing a good job?
I think we're starting to have those conversations. I've seen Elanco's doing a program called Feed the 9. Farm Credit has their own Facebook page, and our social media. We've got FFA members, and FFA does a really good job about getting that out there. And then I know, well, you guys have your own producer Facebook page as well.
Nathan stays pretty well on top of that and tries to spread, and inform the people that may not, have grown up on a farm or even live close to, the country life, but just kind of explain to them, where your food does come from, that you eat 3 times a day, and the clothes off your back. So,
is it making a difference, Nathan?
I think so. I mean, we've had some pretty good conversations at different times about different subjects of, why are we raising GMOs, or why are we doing this, or, and it sheds light from our perspective, because we are the ones that are doing it. We are the ones that are making those choices to do that. And sometimes the public doesn't understand the processes that we go through to do those things, or why we choose to do that. So, being able to tell our side of the story is ultra critical, and I think we're starting to do a better job of that.
I think the general public too, if I can go in, has a really good image of like Jennifer and Nathan in the family farm and that family unit and tradition and what you do at your place. I mean, you're at work and you work more hours than most anybody else, but your kids are there and you're doing it as a family, and there's something that's just romantic about it, as far as just, with you're laughing, it's true, whatever. But, on the tailgate of the truck eating supper, and there's something just really special, and I think people have a pretty good feeling about that from the people that are producing their food. But there is some misguided education out there from different sectors, and it's all about an exposure to maybe different populations that haven't had an opportunity to really understand where it is that their food comes from, or who's producing their food, and like Nathan said, the reasons why they do certain things the way they do. So,
looking at from the Global STEM Academy, the students that are coming in, do they have an idea of the direction that they want to go after they leave the academy?
They think they do. Global Impact STEM Academy is a high school, so we serve students in grades 9 through 12, which would be the ages of approximately 13 through 18 years old. So a part of our job is to expose them to as many different opportunities as possible. And particularly what we're doing is relating it to the field of agriculture. Most of them have no aspirations to go into a career in agriculture at all. They come there for other things. It's a different way of educating. It's early college opportunities. But what we do is expose them to opportunities they didn't realize existed. So we have students that come in and want to be doctors, but they're excited about medicine and chemistry and all these other things. Well, then we spend a day at Ohio State in the food science labs and realize that people or students are coming out of Ohio State with degrees in food science, filling a void in the marketplace and making a lot of money and doing very well with bachelor's degrees. So now they start thinking, well, maybe that, and then they have fun doing it. And they start seeing all the applications in technology for these things that they love to do just from a casual basis as well. And so we're connecting students to these opportunities that not even the field of ag has tapped into this talent pool before. And so they're starting to develop, to answer your question, where it is that they want to go, but they're coming in maybe not with a clear idea, but hopefully we're exposing them to some opportunities in a booming field.
Jessica, the folks that are coming in interested in your Young Farmer Beginning Producer program, are you finding more from even outside of agriculture coming in because of this whole local food movement?
We have had some really neat programs come in. Like go back to one out of Cleveland, Ohio, and he takes his fresh produce and his freezer meats and he sells them downtown. We financed large freezers to be able to keep that, freezers and refrigerators, to keep that produce and that meat fresh a lot longer so that he could be able to sell that, all the way down to the young FFA member in the state of Kentucky, where we approved his loan based solely on his supervised agricultural experience and his FFA proficiency, and helped him get into the local foods. He produces green beans for Kentucky Proud, all the way to our traditional large farmers that are maybe 1 or 2 generations removed, that we've said, you know, hey, we haven't been able to do this in the past, but if you're willing to sit down and work with us, you know, we want to help you get started, and we want to be that partner. And agriculture, we're here to serve all of agriculture, and agriculture is not just traditional corn and soybeans, and so we've got to comprehensively look at it and be able to move us all forward to feed everyone. Unfortunately,
Nathan, not everyone in agriculture has that feeling. How do we overcome that we're all in this? This is agriculture.
You know, that's a good question, and trying to get people to understand that, you know, we all as a team have to work together to survive. I mean, agriculture puts our food and our fiber and our fuel and everything else. That's where everything that we have to survive comes from. And together we all have to work together to make sure that the agriculture is successful.
Is there one thing out there right now that, as a young, still relatively new farmer, that would just make your life a whole lot easier?
Oh, Dave, there's all kinds of things out there that would make my life easier, you know. And being a first-generation farmer, you know, you kind of look and see what, you know, we have limited resources financially, and our farming operation will only support so much. And you know, you have to look and see, you know, what toys do I need and what toys do I have to survive. So, you know, there's lots of things out there, and everybody's got their wish list, but, you know, we pick and choose from that list.
So how important, as a young couple, is it to have that line of communications that, you know, you can sit down at night and say, you know what, we need to do this, or we just can't do that?
I think that's been a hard thing for us, you know, especially in the area that we live in. Crop ground is outrageous, you know, not only to rent, but to, you know, to buy. And, you know, we've tried to, I've always told Nathan that patience is the key, you know. I always said that good things come to those who wait. So we've tried to have our patience, and that seems like it's been the best thing for us. It comes to us, and we just kind of wait it out. And if there's something there, we try to jump on it. But it's done pretty well for us, and we try to stick together. So.
Yeah, she's been my rock. I mean, there's been times that I've been so frustrated and ready to pull my hair out and thinking, why in the world did I ever decide to do this? Because I mean, I could have went to town and got a job, and we'd been a whole heck of a lot easier life than what we were living. But this is what I've always wanted to do and what I've always dreamed of. And with her support, anything is possible in my mind. So,
I remember, Jennifer, at the Ohio Farm Bureau convention. I was getting ready to interview Nathan as the outstanding young farmer, and you were telling me just how proud you are.
I am. I'm extremely proud. He has, coming from not a farm background and to where he's came today as a person, as a father, as a farmer, it amazes me daily. So very grateful for the opportunity and the life that we have.
Jessica, what goes through your mind when you hear their story?
That's something that just inspires me, and that's why we're working to create a program to help people, because we want to be able to help you live in rural America, to accomplish your dreams, to get that farm started and grow it to what you want to be. And they're the people that are the reason that I'm doing what I do today, and that's just what's going through my mind when I hear it.
What about you, Josh?
Well, they've got a great story. I mean, before we came on the segment, it seems like they've had the right mix of ambition and being able to seize opportunities that come before them, but also the same bit of a sense of conservative nature as well, to not overextend yourself. And so, but also having good mentors, I think, along the way is great as well. And so, it's a great story, and it's an encouraging story for adolescents to young adults who aspire to live a production agriculture lifestyle. And so it's really neat to see.
Well, and I think, we've had several good mentors in our careers. And without those people to pushing us along and guiding us, and sometimes giving us the old kick in the, we wouldn't be where we are today. And to those people, I want to say thank you. I think agriculture has an opportunity these days. The age of the average farmer today is 58 years old, and nobody's getting any younger. And a lot of those don't have the generation coming up behind them to take over those operations. And there are a lot of people out there like us that are looking for those opportunities. And a lot of people comes out of Josh's school, they are prime candidates to be able to get those two segments together and bond them to make a really good operation. So
we often hear these days about wanting to pay back. How would you pay back to what you've been able to do in your farming career?
I don't know that we could ever pay back. I think my mentors, seeing my operation grow from 25 acres to what it is today, I think that's a lot of payback and reward for them to see that I have been successful. I know, part of my dreams and goals, even if my boys want to farm, I want to be able to give somebody someday that opportunity that I was given. I mean, it was something that was so awesome for us to receive, and I want to be able to try to give that back to somebody else someday.
Jessica, when a young person comes in to sit down again with you, what helps set them apart from somebody else that's coming in?
Well, the first thing we look for is character. And of course, we sit here today, and you can tell that the character is evident in these two, that passion, that ambition, and that drive. And then, like he said, still a little bit of conservativeness enough to understand that they've got to have a plan. And so we'll sit down and we'll work out a business plan with you. We'll set those goals. We'll figure out your strengths and your weaknesses. We'll say, what other opportunities in marketing, what other niche areas are there that maybe you can provide, and what is that long-term vision? What do you want to do someday? And so to get that story, to understand that business, that helps you see that character and that drive, and that helps overcome a lot, because it's more than just about making money, making large profits. It's about a lifestyle, and you've got to be able to adjust that lifestyle when times are good and when times are bad. And so we're looking for those people that can withstand that and move forward and work with us and allow us to be a partner in that business.
Nathan, Jennifer, you're both very active in your community. Again, it goes back to a young family, just really getting started farming, but yet finding these other opportunities.
We're very busy with our County Farm Bureau chapter. I am currently the vice president, getting ready to take over as president here in August. We are part of the Ohio Soybean Association and Ohio Corn and Wheat Growers Association, and we try to, if there's an event or something with them, we try to participate. You know, being able to be involved with those organizations that have such a positive message about agriculture, and to participate with them and to network with them and to spread the word as a unit, there is so much reward from that.
Well, and I think we're also on the State Young Farmer Committee, and that gives us a great opportunity to reach out to others that are our age, you know, that might have the struggles that we've had or still having, and, you know, give them kind of a peace of mind, or, you know, maybe an idea, or in return we get stuff from them. So it's nice to be able to kind of be a friend to each other and grow each other's operation.
So Nathan, one other question. If you couldn't farm, what would Nathan Brown do?
I would have your job, Dave.
You know, it's a lot easier talking about it than doing what you're doing.
Thanks to our panelists, and thanks to you for joining us today. See you next time on Our Ohio.
This program is made possible thanks to the generous support from the Ohio Farm Bureau members, producing our food, growing our economy, and making communities stronger. The Ohio Farm Bureau, forging a partnership between farmers and consumers. And by
Nationwide's family of companies has a variety of products to protect your family, with our promise to be there when you need us, from city to farm. Nationwide is on your side.
Funding for Our Ohio is also made possible by the generous support from Turner Farm, a working organic farm and education center in Indian Hill, Ohio, and by your membership support to this public television station. Thank you.